Hey guys, and welcome to another Factorio Friday Facts discussion, number 261, Performance plus New Player Interaction. And I'm joined by Scarhuff as always.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
Good. So, this is a really long one. I don't know if I'm even going to say I'm going to summarize it, because I don't know that I can't. Well, I can, but I haven't read it enough times to be able to do that.
It's a good thing there's a lot of pictures.
There are a lot of pictures, which is nice. So, pretty much the entire thing's written by Kofrex. The many lessons learned from testing the new tutorial. So, they're trying to make a new campaign that is kind of part of the new player experience. The tutorial is one of the very critical parts of the game, as if the first 15 minutes of the game feels shitty, there's a big chance that the player will not play any further. I had this experience in many games myself.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge was basically, the current tutorial is okay, but can we make it better? The approach in the current tutorial is to feed the player with the basic knowledge of how to control basics of the game. The first mission and the start of the second mission is the fastest way possible. So this is how it is like right now in game, like 0.16 and beforehand. I guess now 2 and 17 because they haven't actually made up their mind how to do it yet. But yeah, where these it shows these little pop-up boxes, right, with instructions.
Mm-hmm.
And the player is even given descriptive info like this to diminish chance of not understanding how the basic entities work and such. And after a few steps in the second level, the player can start exploring the first self-feeding loop, make iron to make more iron. So the tools used and to this is mainly the message dialogue that stops the game, explains what the stuff is. Minimalization of the amount of things the player can interact with to absolute minimum, so he can't start doing other things before the basics are clear. However, the drawbacks are that there's constant interruptions, because it pauses and then does a pop-up, which can get really annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And the possibility that the player will mindlessly follow the step-by-step task without understanding it, so he can become really lost later on, and the tutorial basically wouldn't help him to understand things. So the question then becomes, can we make a tutorial that makes these problems go away? And alternatively, how big are these problems actually? The current direction of the new tutorial attempt is to never use a message dialogue so the player can learn the game more fluently and to leave way more things to explore, as learning things yourself has a better chance of success than force feeding generally. We made a few tests of the new approach with a few people. The main takeaway is that nothing is for free, and this approach created new drawbacks. If the player doesn't figure out something basic, it can be very frustrating for him to figure out what is going on when not moving forward. It might be possible that some things are just not fun to learn by exploration. It's more comfortable if they're force-fed to you. I would compare this to a friend explaining how to play a game for 5 minutes compared to 2 hours of trial and error. That's actually a really good example.
Yeah. And everyone's going to have something different that they would prefer from that as well.
Right, exactly. So there are more possible outcomes from this, and we shall see how different tweaks of both strategies work in the testing. It might be interesting if you mention your experiences with the tutorial in the comment section as well. Generic usability improvements. Regardless of the final tutorial approach we choose, we made some generic improvements that should help to avoid some of the pitfalls. Interaction error messages. People sometimes struggle in the beginning to figure out why they can't interact with an object, open mind, build, connect wires, etc. when it's too far away. We'll still keep the beep boop error sound and the different yellowish color, but we added a short flying text explaining the problem.
I like that.
Yeah, I really like that too. It it's quick, it doesn't really interrupt you that much, and it'll just obviously let you know what the problem
what you're doing wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
although the can't connect to wire, I kind of wish that there was unable, or I guess unable doesn't really do it. I wish there was something a little bit more descriptive, like the solar panels just don't do it or something, because can't connect wire could mean it can't for another reason rather than solar panels just are not able to.
Right, exactly. I mean, because wires have a limited reach, so it could be that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not this close, but yeah, you have a really good point there. Oh, well, actually they do. At the end, they do show a separate one for wire can't reach.
But the wire can't reach is nice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would say maybe something like,
Solar panels are not designed to hook into cables or something. I don't know. That's way too long,
yeah,
obviously.
yeah, like, yeah.
Never mind. Ignore what I said. Just stick with what they have.
Or, I mean, maybe like wire can't interact with entity or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. And, right, so we take that. This also includes GUI-related stuff like this. So they're showing here, like this can't be crafted because, well,
Not
is
enough
that
ingredients.
underground? Yeah, it can't be crafted by hand.
Yeah.
Not enough ingredients. This can't be crafted. This needs a machine to craft. So some of these errors had description messages, but but these were in the bottom left corner in the console. But we observed that since it might quite far from the mouse and focus of the player, it can be easily missed. Even if it's not missed, it's not that comfortable to look everywhere far away for an error. Highlighting of inserter minor related entities. So when building, hovering over an inserter, minor or any entity that inserter minors can interact with, the corresponding entities are highlighted. This should help to understand the connection. And even for me, it's useful sometimes to see instantly whether the inserter is one tile off or not when building it.
I like this. This is an example of how to do these error messages correctly. Because I could see how a more experienced player might get upset that he's constantly dealing with the flying messages everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But something like this is perfect for both beginners and advanced players. It's not
exactly.
intrusive, it just gives you a little bit more information. And it's intuitive enough that even if you had no idea what the things we're looking at, you'd have a general idea that, the mouse is over the inserter and it somehow connects to these two white things.
Right. I mean, it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Now, actually, what you said kind of reminded me of something I wanted to say in regards to the flying text. They don't say if it is. I think it would be good to have this
Toggleable.
toggleable, but also to have it happen like the first time you start a free play game, because even with all the work they're putting into tutorials, which is great and stuff, there's a lot of people who aren't going to do those and just hop into free play even when they don't know what they're doing. And right. I mean, sure, they should technically go do the tutorials, but I think it would be good to just have these, like, the flying text appear just like the first, on the first time you load a free play. Obviously, you don't want it every single time. But, because a lot of people will. A lot of people will do that rather than the campaign or tutorial.
Right. I think this is a default on everything because we went from the tutorial header to generic usability improvements.
Oh, that's a good point.
So, and they specifically say, regardless of the tutorial approach used, we made some generic improvements.
Okay.
And I think they're referring to the whole game. So.
Yep, that's my bad. I misunderstood that. Yeah. So you're right on that.
But I do like the idea of having it default, obviously.
On. Yeah.
Toggleable would be nice. And just have it default on. Yep. That way, when people get the clue,
yeah, they can turn it off.
They can move on with it.
Definitely agree. So performance tweaking, and this is actually really interesting. I never would have realized this. So sometimes I wonder why its performance in Factorio is, why it's very unstable. The update runs fine, let's say 5 milliseconds most of the time. From time to time, it takes much longer, 16 plus, so the frame is skipped, so the game feels choppy. So for a long time, he expected that this is caused by some Factorio tabs that can peak once in a while, train, pathfinding, etc. But the weird realization came when I played multiplayer, and I noticed that other people didn't have the problem, so I started to investigate. Browser. I realized this a long time ago when doing performance tests running any browser with modern dynamic page or a browser-related application. Slack, for example, take more performance than you think. I could measure non-trivial increase in performance when I close all of these. That I knew. That's pretty straightforward. I mean, browsers like Chrome, dude. If you have tabs open in Chrome, that takes so much. It
is so frustrating how much bloat browsers have nowadays.
I know, it's ridiculous. Like my Chrome, granted I have an unreasonable amount of tabs open, but even so, my Chrome takes like a constant like 4.5 gigs of memory.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, come on, so I can see how that definitely affects it.
And it's 2018. Come on, we should be able to all have like 150 tabs open.
Yeah, like, come on. Obviously.
That's totally not unrealistic at all.
No. So this is the part I didn't really realize. Performance options. So there's a power options panel in Windows, control panel, hardware, sound, power options, which I didn't know about, but you can select different power options. It mainly controls things like how long it takes before it goes to sleep or when are the hard to stop, but it contains more, notably the minimum processor state, which by default, in the default plan is 5%. So with this setting, I am seeing performance similar to this on his save. So from left to right, it's average, minimum, and maximum updates in milliseconds here in the context of the last 10 seconds. So that's that. But then while the default for high performance is 100%, so he changed that minimum setting to 100%, he's getting fairly significantly lower maximums here.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really interesting that actually affects that. So you can see that the average time spent on update is roughly the same, but with the balance mode, there are quite big peaks of slowdowns that are happening regularly. You can test this yourself. The minimum processor state basically allows the system to somehow slow down or turn off some parts of the processor. So because Factorio works in a way that does a lot of work in the update steps, the 5 millisecond time, and then the update thread has to wait until the time of the next update. So my theory is that when the thread is waiting for the next update, the system thinks that it doesn't need that much CPU power suddenly, so it slows down, but it doesn't switch back to full power fast enough when it's needed again in the next update.
Mm-hmm.
So if you catch your game kind of being choppy, you could adjust this, but as he says, it would probably be advised against to have this set at 100% all the time.
Well, especially if you're going to be on, if you're not going to be plugged in all the time. But he is correct for laptops. Depending on how the laptop is set up, if you don't have enough cooling, it could overheat things.
Right, definitely. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. But interesting, if you are having that problem.
Mm-hmm.
So then the last part is just forums update part 2. So I think last week or the week before they changed the forum theme, and it caused some debate about the limited content width. And the result is they added a slightly modified theme to scale the forum to the whole screen width. And yeah, so leave your opinions about that. And that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the performance things, it's good to know. I mean, it didn't actually fix anything with the game, but the new player experience, these adjustments for getting information are really nice. I really like these additions.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we'll see what comes next. They did say somewhere in here that they hadn't actually decided what type of method they were going to use for the tutorials. So that could be a little while, but other than that, good news.
Yep.
All right.
Can't wait to actually see it.
Yeah, I know. maybe we'll both be alive by then.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not. That's entirely possible too.
Die of old age.
Yeah, die of old age. Be lucky if there's even any cities left at that point. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it. As always, thanks for watching. You have any last thoughts?
Nope, nothing else.
All right, till next time, we will see you later.